I'm Kevin Lee Allen. I'm a professional set and lighting designer. I've won awards for my work. I do work in television, theater, public spaces, retail, museums, exhibits, anything vaguely entertainment-based. I'm an author about the Vectorworks software. I've written now 7 books, I believe, on Vectorworks for use as training in classrooms and training for self-learning. I'm considered an expert on the software, and of course I've won awards for my design work. There are a number of things that I'm looking for in the entries. I'm looking to see that they're complete and that people have paid close attention to the instructions. All too often in student work, I see work improperly or incompletely submitted that in a professional environment there would be a penalty. If you don't have a complete shop order when you submit your paperwork to a producer or production manager, you're not going to get an accurate price, or you're going to end up delaying the installation. That's going to end up costing a producer money. It's going to be reputation damaging. Students don't always seem to understand that, so when we ask for A, B, and C in A, B, and C order, I like to see that it's submitted that way. I'm looking to see that drafting standards are maintained, and that I would say the most important thing to me is the visualization. I think as we become more sophisticated, as designers become more sophisticated, as directors become more sophisticated, they're going to be more and more interested in seeing what this ethereal light is going to look like on stage after we've hung a bunch of lights, put a bunch of color in, spent some time focusing it, that the director is going to end up with the visual that he or she is looking for and has been promised by the designer. So I'm really, really interested in seeing the renderings. Some of the resources available to students are free and easy to get. They're on the Nemitz-Check site, nemitz-check.net. Any student with an educational email address can download a full copy of the Vectorworks Designer software. It is watermarked, but it comes complete with the libraries of lighting instruments, sound equipment, furniture, right down to specific individual light bulbs that they can work with. Also on the Vectorworks site, there are any number of training videos that can get a student started if they're at an institution that doesn't have a program. The City Theatrical site has a downloadable free evaluation copy of Lightright. I think Lightright and Vectorworks together are essential. They talk, they speak to each other, they get along nice. As long as your design doesn't include more than 75 or 100 units, you can use the free software. A lot of schools also have a library or a lab with Lightright in the lab. They certainly should. They should all be teaching it. I think the base guidelines for the student lighting design competition is how their concept statement works with how they've executed the design. Now, whatever the play is, whether it's a straight play, a Shakespearean play, a musical, and whether you have a half a dozen, tin cans in a basement or 50 moving lights, it's going to depend on how you use those things. So I can envision a winner that actually had really crappy gear. It's not about the gear. It's not about the how much money you threw at something. It's about the idea and the execution of the idea and the documentation of the idea. Working with RenderWorks, I think, is a terrific asset within the Vectorworks application. I think it's simple enough to get started to use and to learn. Like anything else, it takes time to master. But, the beauty of it is that you can either on your own or collaborating with a set designer come up with appropriate textures for the way that the structures will be painted. You can insert models of the light, the actual lights that you'll use. You can put the color that you're going to use in the light, and you can look at how that's going to appear on the wall or the surface, painted the way that it's going to be painted, textured if you add a bump map and create a 3D effect. And it can be done very quickly. Now, I wouldn't necessarily, if you have 300 lights, try to turn them all on at once in Vectorworks. You might actually do that for the curtain call, but if you wanted to render that, it might take you part of this, a good chunk of the semester. I would expect that any student entering the competition should imagine investing, the typical 6 or 8 weeks that they would in a production process. Ideally, these are realized designs, so they're doing it as part of a 6 to 8 week process. That is assuming that they do have some prior experience with the softwares, both applications. And if they have already done the show and they're just augmenting it, it's something that they should be able to do an hour here, an hour there, over the course of, what do we have, a couple of months left before the deadline. My advice would be start early and do essentially what I like to do, which is I have something that's due Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, I make sure that I have what I need done by end of the day Monday. Get it done early. That way you have time to go back and refine it if you want to, and make sure that you have budgeted enough time for you to do the work. Everybody works at a different rate. You're going to find, I'm sure with your own experience, that you draft a light plot faster than you put information into LightWrite, or the other way around. Make sure you allow enough time for those things and don't end up rushed at the end.